on the Malam, that is Malam said, Akisi on the that's Sishukuba, said that Koa le Tara Dubiki, gave it Zawata, and Koa le Tani, Shiva Toper Dubiki, Toper Dubiki, the Gawa, Gangasabe, Gawat Yesos, the Dene, Gawat Yechasan, Dangajuke, and Gawat Zawa, Tula Dene, and Juki. Zemli Nalia, and Chikitamishipi, Nena, Tunga, Chasa, Shije, and Nekapi Diawata, Tardu, and the Tarbata Tamjiki Yokova, Tobar Show, said the Kissing Amount to Decor, and Molam Jadi to Shirwa.
Good evening. So we started last week to look at first the verses of dedication, and then we came to the first of the verses of auspiciousness. And the verse we concluded with was referring to all the causes that lead to nirvana, or that lead to nirvana or take us from samsara. We dedicate all of this virtue that we have accumulated to the attainment of the omniscient state, the state of enlightenment.
The
119th verse. May all be auspicious for the Buddha's teachings to long endure through your centers of Dharma, omniscient Lobsang Dorje, being filled with hosts of yogis and ordained, striving one pointedly to master the three pure trainings. We start in English at the end of the second line. So the first word in the Tibetan is that of omniscient. So omniscient refers to the consciousness of a Buddha, a being that knows all phenomena. An omniscient consciousness knows all phenomena. It's a flawless, faultless consciousness where there is no impediment to something being completely known. And who has such a consciousness? Lobsang Dorje, Lama Chöpa. He knows all phenomena.
Lobsang Chökyi Gyaltsen, that Chökyi Gyaltsen, Jizada Sangi Sangi Dango Yermechi, Lama Lobsang Dorje, and the Song Shepi, and Doda, then Jiggy, Dui Namcha, then Jiggy Namcha, that's how I do, but to sound which is some last of Biggie, and the Gugi Namchata, or the Garden, Doda, Nigi, Song Shepi, Chökyi, Song Shepi, Chökyi Desi, or Chökyi Desi, this one. Jeremy Chema Sung Yorwa, do you call Panchen that the Nigger or Song Shepi, Yamlin Jedi Chök or Song Shepi, Chökyi Desen Yorwa? Dina Shendanga, you call Song Shepi, Chökyi Desen Yorwa, Chökyi Desen Mambu Yorwa, the Nigger. Jeremy Chökyi Desi, this order, Chökyi Desi, Jeremy Song Shepi, Chökyi De, said to Chökyi Desen, and do you call Shebana, Mazo Lambrim Chung, Chemboda, Jing Seada, the Nejik Panchen Gor Song Shepi, Uma Gor Song Shepi, Chemanguera, Panchen Gor Somba, Umi Gor Somba, and the Dina Shendanga Gor said the Sama Dubada, and the Jijeda, and the Jigo Deshola Sobegeda, the Niki Chu, Mango Song Chicken Chökyi De said this was. Kunjo Lobsang Dorje Chökyi De said Sangi Yongo, Sangi Dango, Yerme Machibe, Jesun Lama Lobsang Dorje, Song Sai Song Bigi Chökyi De said that Dodan Yu Song Shepi Chökyi Yes or Yamling Rinpoche said, Chökyi De said.
Perhaps instead of centers of Dharma, it could be rather divisions of Dharma, divisions of Dharma, referring to the entirety of the Buddha Dharma, whether those of the Sutra teachings or those of the Tantra teachings.
상기기 모여마 집에 제일라마 로산 데뷔 송셰비기 추기데 대선딘데 여버들이야 아주기 퇴선 롭녀 제제 아니 롭녀 제 구고에서 올다 롭녀 제네 아니 냠는 탈신 봐 구고에서 제자 롭녀 델라 롭녀 제세제 올 당한도 돌되나 당한도 그 섬다면은 네 람림기 다지다 제 상하디베고 제림시 송셰베게 최대라 되나 상하디베고 냠는지야 돌지시다 냠는지야 근데 니게 람림 체중도 도는 냠는지야 누스체는 다 딩아도 라마추베고 냠는지야 누스야디 지다 추기 되세 될이야 냠는지 봐서 추기 될이야 롭정 제네 퇴섬 검숨 제네 냠는지 봐서 그래
So Lama Chöpa, or the omniscient Lobsang Dorje, we can understand in this verse is being referred to as being indivisible from the Buddha. Hence the term omniscient is applied to him. And here, all the teachings that he has trained in to attain the omniscient state, we need to train in too. So all these teachings are included within the varying divisions of the Buddha Dharma. So we have it as senses of Dharma, but it can be rather understood then as divisions of Dharma, those of Sutra and those of Tantra. So these are what we need to train in through hearing, reflecting and meditating, and train our mind in them to take develop our mind to the point of perfection, to become just like omniscient Lobsang Dorje himself.
Lobsang namda zeji jubla juanse. Lobsang namda zeji jubla juanse. 지사다 제르미치게 데니게 손셰비기 최들이야 냠는 제발라 나주게 당보 라바숨기 냠는 지고다 추름이 라바시 시송베 토네 다 추름이 라바 시송베 토네 된 퇴섬 검숨 제네된 유 동반일에 제시된 그 미비기 신의를 딩에선 쭉 다시라게 데니게 신의 딩안에 안내가 소래 학동줍세데 다 학동줍시 지단 실라스 딩에진 라바시 가소를 수dum이 라바 딩에진 라바 셔르기 라바 숨 냠는제 도시나 라바 랍숨 남다 대야 냠는 파 넘버 다바스는 고름 마투바 마노와 다다 냠는제 제직세도 제직 줍라 제직 줍아서 셈 남야 냠는 집에 갑려야 먼저 오다 니래가 디요레서다 아니 지금 니 분야 디요레서 되니게 쌈 남야 디게 파샤 정아주 제르미 치기 송셰베 당아서 람림고 냠네 제반나 람림 델야 냠나 라바숨기 안에 추르기 라비 시송we 토네 람림 퇴삼제 데네야 신의 줍딩에진 삼다 데네 하동 줍두신 대야 안에 셈 남명 샤마도 마소바지 안제 제지도 델야 안진 냠네 지고레스 줍라 제지 전세되다 전주 된지 냠네 제고레스 송고레
The second line in the Tibetan is for us the end of the third line and the fourth line. Striving one pointedly to master the three pure trainings. So again, this translation could be a little different. So it starts off with the three trainings. So the three trainings, or we usually say in English the three higher trainings. The three trainings are those of ethical restraint, concentration, and wisdom. These are what one needs to train, to develop one's mind in, with ethical restraints being the indispensable foundation for spiritual development. All spiritual development comes about independent on a mind that is ethical, a mind that is restrained from coming under the influence of the afflictions. And such a mind is not only the foundation for all spiritual development, it is the indispensable foundation also for the development of concentration, the second of the trainings. And concentration we understand here as meaning the union of calm abiding and meditative insight. So this needs to be cultivated, this particularly powerful analytical mind that is suitable to actually come to realize the third training of wisdom. Hence the sequence of training in ethical restraint, concentration, and wisdom, the three trainings. And then the word that we have as pure should rather be that the three trainings need to be trained in unmistakably or completely. So rather than the 3 pure trainings, you could say the 3 trainings completely. And this needs to be done in a way that is one-pointed or without distraction. So the meaning of being one-pointed is that one does so without distraction, wholeheartedly, with full commitment. And that is also the meaning of the word striving. One strives to... so we have the word master, which is, I suppose, okay. It's normally translated as to accomplish the three trainings completely, and to do so without distraction.
Desen yoro kumbata san yorwa on desol ya denegi jerim chi song shepe che desol ya laba sumji thone zeji do zunju denje nyamlen jebe ge rabjung de de ane yongso gangwa gyo showase de yongso gangwa yase yongar najo rabjung so yonga yase de denegi rabjung da this chasan mangbu yobaje mangbu yobadele chasan lobsang nyamlen jeken najo ba janja mangbu yongwa sigoda 용 강화스네 용소 강화 다다 강화스 진짜 공부나야 잡아 같이 유나 가시 여바 가시로 좀 해봐 멤버 차상 안에 지게 랍숨기 토네 냠는지네 제림지 손집이 철려 냠는지게 용화 쇼스 차상 용소 강화 세세소.
The third line, being filled with hosts of yogis and the ordained. So this word filled, it's accompanied by another word which implies that an ever-growing amount. So filled and growing hosts of yogis and ordained, those who are engaging in the cultivation of the 3 high trainings. The verse concludes with our first line, may all be auspicious for the Buddha's teachings to long endure. This is the culmination of this aspirational prayer being expressed, that may the teachings of the Buddha Dharma, may it long endure or long remain.
탑람 상이 줌낸 디게 람된 셰바디 람 냠는 제네 근데 타바 상이 고바 톱는 타바다 탐제기 메고바 토는마도 니 냠는 마치바 토투고 말레스 매반자다 딱 상이 뜀바 상이 줌낸 디기 냠는 덴시베 상이 줌낸 디기 덴바디 윤유부 내고고래 해서다 윤유부면 나 로하지 도로바네 덴젤 냠는 제라가 말바 망원반 심제 윤로 경어라고 치다 윤유부 내고고래스 딘네바디 가능스 내기를 람나 라바숨기 냠는 제장아 지지도 냠는 제 안두버 냠는 제네 안 소수게 또보규라 라바숨 냠는 제 또보규라 잠니제 장조셈 동마트미 또베 셰랍투스 랑규레 계지두스 냠는 레요도 템바 니고르와 안 랑기 냠는 제 샹라마데 양 콘조 냠는 제 샹레 두치는 균디버 니고르와 디네자 마주 냠는 제 두버 제지도 냠는 제고그레스 제사 rab중의 대디게 계침보를 해서 rab중의 대랴 아니 지금 강존의 디콩을 롭중 제겐 대선디게랴 아니 지금 냠네 부이다 보야고 용어쇼 세야데 대내게 냠는 제발에 대내 안 두바상 요즘는 디기 땜바딩아 저기 무뒤지 점제 탐제 상이 고바 마토기 벌도 차상이 냠네 제 여바 고가 여바디 무뒤네 내바디 용어쇼 용고고래 대내 용어디 대내게 소소기 냠는 제발에 대내 용고고래 해서 제사 대내 자당한 저기 제림치 송셰베기 안나델이야 아니가 지게 벤네 람림다 파신고 송셰바도 우메고 송셰바다 나기고 송셰베 대수 차상이야 냠는 제네 라바숨 냠 토네 냠는 제네 라바숨 조어체 냠는 제네 냠는 탈신바 중화서 대내 냠는 제발에 대내 아니 상유점네 템바도 윤르데 네토바
To summarize this verse, for sentient beings to attain lasting happiness, they need to be guided how to gain freedom within themselves, freedom from or liberation from the sufferings of samsara. In order for beings to cultivate freedom, they need to train in the Buddha Dharma. And for beings to be able to train in the Buddha Dharma, they need guides who themselves are already well trained or completely trained in the Buddha Dharma. So therefore, the Buddha Dharma needs to long remain or long endure, so that the suffering beings can be trained, so that future teachers can train and to train themselves to perfection. So therefore, the Buddha Dharma needs to long remain. And what does it mean for the Buddha Dharma to long remain? It means that those who are practitioners of the Buddha Dharma, as expressed in our verse, the yogis and ordained, they need to study and reflect well, here reflect and meditate on the teachings of the Buddha, as, for example, presented by Lama Chöpa, who presents the complete divisions of the Buddha Dharma, those of Sutra and Tantra. And these need to be, by the yogis and the ordained, in other words, the students of the Buddha Dharma, they need to be accomplished. Realizations need to be gained, what we have here, mastered. They need to be mastered. The three higher trainings need to be mastered in the continuum of the yogis and ordained. This is where this is where the teachings of the Buddha, or how the teachings of the Buddha long remain. They remain in the continuum of beings, not as merely learned words, but as a transformed mind, as realizations. That's how the Buddha Dharma remains.
당한 저기 랍중의 디디게 다 되니게 게 첨부 차고를 냠는 롭중 제야라 데를 가서네 그 랍중 롭선에 야직 샹다기 토네 안지 부고다 게면다 파마 되니게 가수 삼다모아 저가선 취제를 고합야 여러와 되네서 되니게 랍중 디게 게 첨부 아니 되네서 랍중 디게 안 차상 배 망부 여바 디가라 차상 롭중 야부 라버스미 냠는 돈에 야부 제도 용어 쇼셔야 돼. 당한 주게 되게 개와 사샤바디기나 지상하는 주게와 사샤바디 차상 니니기 라버스미 냠는 게 돈에 냠슬림베 돈에 제름 지 송제비기 송디게리아 퇴섬 곰숨제는 라버스미 냠는 제제 소수인 냠는 또바 귤에 개와 개네네 샤레 뼈와제네 한상이 때문에 윤리는 내비기 아니 제도와 쇼 제비 귤와 쇼서 제시 소스는 제시는 규세 귤와 쇼서로데.
So therefore, it is extremely important to hear teachings and train one's mind in them. And this is especially for the ordained who are explicitly called out in this verse. Because those who have chosen to ordain have the freedom of not needing to prioritize caring for their family. Therefore, they should utilize this opportunity to study, reflect, and meditate. And in this way, gain mastery of the three higher trainings, transform their mind, and have their mind as a reciprocal for the enduring or remaining of the Dharma. For all of us, a key priority is to accumulate virtue, because it's through our accumulation of virtue, whomever we are, that this accumulation of virtue serves to aid, to assist our mastery of the three trainings. And then our verse concludes with, may it be auspicious for this to quickly come about.
네네 쉐니 뒤네 라마 하죠라 소와 대표 로상 잡아이 진럽 슈네 셴드 륜디루 로상 도제 창게 제시쇼스.
Verse 120. Having requested your blessings, Lobsang Dorje, who from the time of your youth made requests to the Supreme Guru Yidam, may all be auspicious for you, Lobsang Chökyi, to grant spontaneously the wishes of others.
안다 쉐니 뒤네 라마 하죠라 소와 답베 소와 답아시데 당한 주기 춘춘이야 아니 지금 다 내가 삼담에 제대량한 주기다 도시네 제르미 지고 손이야 지 퇴섬제다 고급라와라 다 뭐바네 지게 개와 치마이네 근데 춘춘에 가네야 춘춘이야 안도시 쉐니 뒤네 춘춘이야 아니 지게 마 지게 라마 Lama Tien, Lamege, Lamazin, Chushuege, Shunudin, Lama Hashola, Sangi, Lama no Yermipe, Lama Lia, and Jig, Lama Tien, Lama Kivishin, Jinate, these and the Chushu, and Lama so adapted, Chushu, Sage, Chushu, Sage, so adapted. Shunudin, Lama Hashola, so adapted, said Diligota. 당아주 달로 다딩아주 쉬쉬야 제가 그러와 개와치마 시제 개와치마의 춘춘이야 아니 양지 개비신 된제 아주기 되는 게 쉬쉬야 쉬쉬 냠는제 라말리아 소아답 라말리아 소아데 최나로제라 쉬제 아주 최냠는제 고고브라와 쇼서 쉬네든 라말하쇼라세데.
The first line in the Tibetan is a little different. This verse in the Tibetan English is quite mixed. So it starts with from the time of your youth, and then to the Supreme Guru Yidam. The meaning of this first part, so it says from the time of your youth, it should be rather understood from the time of our youth, referring to our lives to come, from our next and ongoing future lives. So from a young age in our own future life. So that's a little different. So not the your, but rather from our youth, from the time of our youth, may we make requests to the Supreme Guru Yidam. So this is a verse of auspiciousness relating to our future rebirths.
Zada nga ju so tapse yudi garesna rangi lama da idam ngo sanje ngo sum yeme do tanya nyamne je so tapya yudi le sigore ta su so to ngan jugi shwenyu dune chunchune ya de lo chimbo chane dene member ma chunchune ya go bra ya bo rawa sho so da dene gi chunchune ya ane gi wi shin cheje dene lama delya lama da idam ngo sanje ngo yeme do de wi thane delya ane ningalia chu sungro je sen ma chu so tapje ando xiang ju chu xue ge go bra wa sho se wo da dan da la shwenyu dune lama la jo la so wa tabe se.
Meaning from the first line of this verse is that from our next and all ongoing lives, from a young age, from our youth, may we meet our Lama and recognize him as being indivisible in essence from the Yidam, our Yidam and the Buddha. So we're calling in the Lama Chöpa that we visualize our Lama as these three stacked beings. So we make an aspiration that from our youth in each future life, may we meet our Lama and recognize him as being indivisible in nature from the Buddha and our Yidam.
That the nigga saw at Jeremy Chigi, Donga Sundu TV, Chedi Pa, Yamlen Chel, the Narosis, and saw at Tabne, the nigga saw at Tabje, and saw at Lamigi, and the Lama de Linjimi, Jeremy Jingo Marda, saw at Tabse Udil, then the Lama Suina, Jeremy, member Yunguru Atanga Social, Cesada, Lamalia, saw at Tabdu. Jeremy Chigi, Donga Sundu TV, Tempi, Yamling, Rimbada, Ma Ngalia, Lavroche, Sadiso at the Gorwada. Jeremy Chigi, Tempa de Donga Sundu TV, Tempa Reche, Donga, da Sung, Nada, Donga, Dodanga Niga, Sundu, Yamneji, Rimbadi, Jeremy Chigi, Tempa di, Donga Sangi Chimden Digi, Dona, Guniga Sumbi, Yamlengi Rimba, Sundri, Yamriba Sungore, Desan Jeremy Chigi, Donga Sundri, Yamlengi Rimbadi, and Basi Tenro Ches and Malia, Lavroches, and so at the Gorwa Malia. So at that president, that Lord south of the Yud Lamatilla, and then Jerem Cheng, Tiasan, Jerem Changus, Jeo Marwa, Jerem Chelungus, so at the Sky Marwa, the Shula, the Yungurim, also Lama Sunro Jesadi, Sosuki, Vishin and singing at Dembadelia, De Lamadia, and the Lamada Yidam, San Yungo, Yemi, the Tavi Tone, and then so at the Kuresu.
The object to whom we are making our supplications is our Lama. Whomever our Lama may be, we make our supplications to him, and we're making the aspiration in this verse that in our youth, from all our future lives, we meet him, recognize who he is, and the supplication that we make to our Lama is to receive the blessings of the entirety of the Buddha Dharma from him, as presented in, for example, the flawless teachings of Lama Tsongkhapa, which contain the entirety of the Buddha Dharma, both the Sutra and the Tantra teachings.
The new so what that 라미기 아니 제르미 책이 최기 냠랭이 림바 벤네 럼름 냠랭 제다 dorji sanga dübe nyamlen jeda dorji chi chan deshuge jerim che songshebe denen ma nyamne rimbati ba ten yo losang debi jinlab shugne seoda losang debi jinlab shugne sidu denegi jerim chigi lama di ngazul ya ben lamrim ko songbena jerim chigi lamrim chenbodan jingla so ba ngazul pa lobchon pa ti Dinegi nga zuki jerimchi songja nashin lamrim nyamlin chepala tene nga zukula ngejung jansim yangtabe tawa gyule kyeba ina losang debi jinlab shubare da jinlab shubare di nashin jerimchi nga zu lama digi jerimchi songshepi sangwan dube nyamlin da ane desho nyamlin jijigi nyamlin ma tenje nga zu delia dus chine tuyasam gomsum chine nyamlin chine toba gyule kyeba ina jerimchi losang debi jinlab shubare da 진랍 슈그네서 제자 라말야 제르미치게 손셰베 데니게 람림다 당아서 람림 빼자산다 아부도 람림디 망아 치루어지 생아서 손셰 나로지 스와슈디 라미기 아니 제르미치게 손셰베 람림고 망아 손셰나 데네데네 냠네지올 바나 데네 냠는 나요도 아주 냠는 제네 또 곰제 예종 장샘 양다바 다와도 제도 따당보 예종 디게베네 가소라 제라메 로산타비 진랍 직슈바레 데네 잠니지게도 데레 진랍 망아슈바레 데네 잔슈스미게바네 데레 진랍 망아슈바레 디나시 냠는 제바 람림 냠는 제바레 데네 니종 장샘 양대표 따위 냠는 용아주글라 아기여도 제르미치기 제 로산타비 진랍 망아슈 슈바레 슈바레
We're requesting our Lama to receive the blessings of the entirety of the Buddha Dharma as presented, for example, in the teachings summarized by Lama Tsongkhapa. So whether we aspire to receive teachings on Lamrim or Guru Samaja, or certainly the entirety, or rather express it like this, we aspire to receive the teachings of the Lamrim, Guru Samaja, and so forth. And here we requesting blessings, and the meaning of this is that we request that having, may all be auspicious to meet our Lama, to recognize, at a young age, recognize him for the qualities that he has, and that he teaches and guides us in the entirety of the Buddha's path, completely, unmistakably, and that we gain, and through this, that our mind is open and receptive to his teachings and training us how to integrate the teachings within us, and thereby give rise to the sequence of realizations, starting with definite emergence, bodhicitta, correct view, and so forth. And as we gain these realizations on our continuum, these are what is understood as the blessings of the lineage, the blessings of Lama Tsongkhapa. Through our trust and our commitment in our Lama, we open to his teachings and guidance, and thereby we give rise to realizations. And these are the blessings that we are receiving.
진라 슈네 대신에 런주줍시데 제사 데네기 진라 슈네 셴네 런주줍시데 소소 유라 데네기 냠는디 귤라지요도 된 소소를 냠뇨요로 데네 셴리아 판도체야기 셴리아 소소기 냠내지마 셴리아 냠내지 셴리 바데 데네 셴기 냠내지 셴 디기투비아도 동화세야들 셴들 런주줍시데 제사 셴기 된 런주줍아 데네기 베서 갈레자 모가체 베레라고 최송마점이 람사 먹이도 된다 하고 투비하기 되는 용어라서 우리 셴들 런주줍시
to grant spontaneously the wishes of others. Here we've gained the blessings of the lineage. In other words, we have, through receiving teachings and training as we've been instructed, have gained realization. Having gained realization, having gained experience of the Buddha Dharma, we are then much more capable of being able to help others. In other words, we are able, due to our knowledge and experience, to guide others to gain freedom from suffering. So that's then the meaning of the final line, to grant spontaneously the wishes of others.
Lobsang Dorje changi Geshe Sho Sidi Jeza Bendigo Jeremichi and Sung Ya Tesam Gomsum Jin Topa Gula Ye and Shen Le Pendun Pember Drup Dusine Yamlin Chebala Dene and Lobsang Dorje changi Geshe Sho Sida Sosor Harang and Ya Lobsang Yamlin Chebala Dene Jawa Dorje changi Goban Tubi Gurgurwa Sho Jawa Dorje changi Goban Tubi Gurgurwa Sho Gurgurwa Sho Sigure. Lobsang Dorje changi said Jawa Dorje Chang Sigure, Dorje changi. Jezan Goban Tober Show the Gurt and Jawa Dorje Chang Goban Tober Show. Nanzo, Susu the Elida Chazan, Dambo Susugi Yamlin Dini Jebala Dene, Shendun Shenle Pando Drup, Dini Shendun Yamlin Jebala Dene, Lobsang Jawa Dorje Chang Goban Tober Show. Dambo Nansus, Susura, Dambo, Susura, Kiron Molam Jena, Kiron and Guwa Shola, Ning Nara Guwa Shola, Cesa, Narangi Carsoze, Dini Yamlin Jebala Dene, Jawa Dorje Chang Goban Guwa Show, Dambo Tiche, Niba de la Narang Mase, Semjan Tamjeng Edin Yamlin Jebala Dene, Shen Lua Chue Den Shen Lungu Trupje, Semjan Tamje, Jawa Dorje Chang Goban. Gurgurwa Shosen, Niga and Randa, Sheniga, Jawa Dorje Chang Goban Gurgurwa Shosen, on Dusine did Sungore.
And then the final line in the Tibetan, may all be auspicious for you, Lobsang Vajradhara. So again, here the personal pronouns we need to change. So here one is expressing the aspiration for through this, may all be auspicious for initially myself, the practitioner, to become enlightened, to become like Lobsang Dorje Chang, to become enlightened, or Lobsang Vajradhara in Sanskrit. So the meaning is, may I become enlightened, and thereby guide all sentient beings to also become enlightened, to also become like Lobsang Vajradhara. So this is then the way to understand the final verse. The final line in this verse. And just again to say, the Tibetan usually doesn't use personal pronouns, so it's up to the translator to put in what is suitable, so hence sometimes errors can be made.
Kasi Sasha the Dengan to Kewa Saba de Latin, Kewa Tilla Dene, and Namon, the Kewa Shilin, Mahomba Kewa Chima in there, and the Jig Chunchunia, Lama Delia, and the Jig Lamaidam, Sanji, or Yemidu Pa Dane, Deva Geja, Lamalia, and Jeremichi, and Gotan Yusun Shepe, Disupa, Nanroche, Shipa, Soa Tap. Dene soa tabala dene la making ala chue nang de song in Yamlin jeje, Yamlin tar shimba jeje, na ya, and then topa gule jeje, Shen Semjan tam je, and Jawa Dorje Chang Goban go to a Gurgurwa Shores, and Gawadi, then they Gurgurwa Shores. The name Yamlin Chebala dene Naraine, and eat Semjan Tamjik Sanji, Jawa Dorje Chang Goban, topic Gurgurwa Shores, the Nigi, that Donadi, anybody.
We summarize this verse then. Once making the aspiration that in all future lives, through this virtue that I've accumulated in this practice, may I in all future lives, from a young age, meet my Lama, recognize him as who he is, seeing him as being indivisible from the Buddha and my Yidam, and thereby seek his blessings to be trained, to be taught, to be trained, and for my mind to be open, thereby enabling it to transform independence on his guidance and give rise to all the qualities of realization of the path. Having gained experience of the path, may I progress further, and whilst progressing further towards the state of enlightenment or Lobsang Vajradhara, may I also guide beings to also attain that same state. So one is requesting to gain experience and progress to enlightenment, and whilst one's progressing, to guide others to also attain enlightenment, then one does oneself achieve enlightenment, and then continues to guide others to also achieve their own enlightenment.
인생 로상 대비 주기다 punzo 발라를 배치시오하세.
Verse 121. May all be auspicious for all our desired endowments to swell like a lake in the summer rains, bringing an unbroken flow of rebirth in faultless families, so that we may pass our days and nights with Lobsang's holy Dharma, and thus delight in the glories of perfection.
다 뒤규 조와 야기 초달 펠세디 아주 다 소식이 최냠는 제발라 괴기 튕긴다 튕긴시로 뒤규 조와세 다 튕긴다 데네기 아니 셴리아 펜버투발라 셴기 셈젠기 동아세나 디기 주발라 아니 튕긴디게 아니 지게 튕긴시로 뒤규 조와세 돼 뒤규 조와서 아주 고야기 다 소식이 최냠는 제알이야 아니 고야다 아니 지게 다 베니 최냠는 소식이 최냠는 제발라 고야 먹고 여러 바데 가서는 소식이 튕긴 다 지게 사야 동야랑 전 대사라 디안 국어래 안 셴리아 초보푸야다 데니게 튕긴 먹고 고래 난 디나신다 셴리아 셴심진 냠탈라 판버투발이야 튕긴 줍제 튕긴 토네 konzilya 동어 지금 칼라메발라 칼라제와 둘로메발라 둘로제와야 내 신유 토네 안 튕긴 제와다 데니게 셴린 주발라 튕긴 국어라 란된 주발라 산지고바 토발라 튕긴 국어 대자 저기 되게 좋아 튕긴 되게 튕긴 그래서 이야기 초대 패스도 이야기 소설에 되는 잡아집는 출로 잡아나 데니게 배 무든지 빠도 매바 데니게 이 공도 패야 돼 데니게 가지 공도 패와네 셴리에 판바도 투야다 데니게다 되게 좋아지 치유 튕긴다 난게 셈이 튕 니가 용어 주로 되게 좋아서야 돼 치유 튕긴 데 셴라다 셴니 판들베게 치유 튕긴다 난기 안에 저기 난기 좋아 그래서는 잠니제 자주선 80주의 냠len 돼서 안에 뭐 공배도 펴와셔서 그러다 되게 좋아 이야기 초대 패스
First line in the Tibetan is, for us, all our desired endowments to swell like a lake in the summer rains. Here, we're expressing the aspiration through this virtue that may all our desired endowments. This then refers to whatever favorable circumstances are required to aid my spiritual development in order that I may be of greater benefit for others, as well as whatever material resources are required in order to be able to directly help others. For example, may I have an abundance of food so I can ease the suffering of others, an abundance of clothing so I can ease the suffering of others. May I be able to provide all the forms of education others require so as to ease their suffering, and all the conditions that others require for their own spiritual development, may I be able to provide that, as well as the favorable circumstances that I also need to aid my own spiritual development. And another way to express this is, may all the external conditions that are required for myself and others to give rise to all inner realizations, may they exist in abundance, and in particular leading to inner realizations that result from training, such as definite emergence, bodhicitta, and correct view. And then the poetic expression of swelling like a lake in the summer rains, this shows that these are immeasurable in number, these outer required conditions and favorable circumstances and material conditions, that these are immeasurable in their abundance. So therefore, there is never an external hindrance to one's own spiritual development and one's own capacity to be able to benefit others, both in a temporal way as well as in a spiritual way.
데네게 되게 치 튕겨나 난기 로제다 게위 냠랭이 좀 받기게 천하신 패다 다디네 괴메리게 달로 균체메스 지자다 데네게 냠랭 제발야 괴메바 안 자슈스미 괴메게 릭세다 타바치 자슈스미게 릭 아는 양주의 냠랭 제 릭데세 다데 릭세야데 망볼에 장슈 심비 릭세하다 고고래 야네 저기 태바침배 남지 릭 냠네 제하다 아니 고고래 되네서 괴매 가지 냠는 제기 태바침에 동아 이게 냠는 집에 동아이 뒤 릭다 냠는 릭다 아니 나게 냠는 릭 지쳐서 괴매 봐 마노와 마투바제 냠네 제 괴매 릭이 달로 균체매 달로서는 무투인의 로아들 레고다 균체매 균마시 봐도 돈다 집어서 봐 아주 뢰를 빼는 아주 주로 규주로 버치는 마 로드에 저라 될 달로 써야지 그 뢰를 빠지 요거로 매바 찾아 매바지 그 뢰를 균체매 균마시 줘야 돼 세상은 좀 냠는 체들라 되니기 잡아침비기 최 냠는 제바들이야 아버지 균마시 존주 다다 존주 차고 다달로 존주 균 마체바제 추위 균 나신지 봐. 균 마체바 냠는 제야다. 대 안에 니나체 가브레 니메 가브레야 아니지 니메 걸 되어서 세나고는 냠는 제바 마제바제 마인바제 가브레야 니미녀가 레가라레야 세나고 냠는 제바 되네 멤바제 니레 냠는 제 세레 인생 균메 달로 균제메 인생 로상 대비 추기다. 세도 지자 니나 세 뒤게디 여바나 되네야 로상 다베게 로상 담비시는 제일마 로상 다바게 담비 최 안 타바침비게 냠는게 도당하게 냠는게 림바 차사 되네게 냠르전 다 세도 다와선 뒤수 되네게 깨와서 뒤수게 어디가 뒤수 때 다선은 레갈엔 뒤수 다선은 레가 뒤수 소선서 되네게 다 뒤수 차사 되네게 제르미시 송시베 동아 송제기 최 냠는 제는 도체네 존주 균마셰바제 냠는 제야 꼭 라와 쇼어서 거다나라
The second and third line, bringing an unbroken flow of rebirth in faultless families so that we may pass our days and nights with Lobsang's holy Dharma. Here the aspiration that is being expressed is that may we, bring an unbroken flow of rebirths in faultless families. So the faultless families that are referred to, there are several families, or the word is literally lineages. So several lineages, in faultless lineages of bodhisattvas, lineages of hearers, or lineages of solitary realizers. So here one is expressing the aspiration to never be separated from, for example, the lineage of bodhisattvas. Another way to understand would be for the faultless lineage of the teachings of the Buddha, of Sutra and Tantra, to never be separated from these. And furthermore, then bringing an unbroken flow. This expression is that it doesn't state it explicitly, but includes the expression of effort, that one makes a sustained or unbroken effort in the lineage of, for example, bodhisattvas, or the lineage of the teachings of the Buddha, of Sutra and Tantra, that one makes an unbroken or unceasing effort in this lineage. And then the next line, day and night, so that we may pass our days and nights with Lobsang's holy Dharma. So again, this similar meaning, that we continue to, this also includes, without explicitly stating, that of effort, that one makes great effort to utilize the opportunity that one has without, on one hand, burning out like a fast-flowing river that is quickly exhausted, but is rather continuous, unceasing, never becoming exhausted. And in this way, day and night, continuing to keep one's mind on the Dharma, particularly the Dharma of the Sutra and Tantra, as presented by, for example, Lama Chöpa.
나 분조 발라르베 제히쇼 분숨 속 와세요. 다마 분숨 속바 냠링 림바 차상 와세요라. 가시 냠렌제 가시 메제 바디네 멤바시 분숨 속바 냠레 림바 차상와 냠렌 제제 안데 되니게 빠세도 바스네 아지 가서를 푼숨 초바데네 빠도 매바세 망부 세바 롤바스는디 냠nen다 지당은 저 롤바스는 제모 제바들 저 롤바스로 디 롤바스에 냠nen 제발 고고 되네기 냠nen 되네기 냠nen 제투비 귤규와 쇼스데 다 푼숨 초바스데 동아 뒤에 냠nen 제네 가지 푼숨 초바스데 가빌레 뒤에 냠nen 나세데 쳐야 말세데 야고 말세다 양가 아다 더 냠nen 제고 말세 되네 멤버지 푼숨 초바스 도당 산지고 모토발라 동아 용수 초바 차산 냠nen 제바 되니게다 푼숨 초바스 대라 롤바zen 디 냠nen 지네 도포 귤레지노 곰 냠nen 제투비 게드네데네 산지고 모토비게 귤규와 쇼사데 시고로다
The verse concludes with, "Thus delight in the glories of perfection, and what we have at the beginning may all be auspicious." Here, what is being expressed is that so the word that we have as delight, this is one way to translate this word. Another way in different contexts, it will be play, as in the play of Tantra, something like that. But here, it actually means to partake in or to practice. And glories of perfection, that is what is being practiced, refers to the teachings of Lama Chöpa, for example, the entirety of the teachings of Sutra and Tantra. In particular, there's what we have as glories of perfection. It means in this context that one engages in the complete teachings without omission or addition. So instead of glories of perfection, the meaning would be to be a completeness. And it's referring to what we have at the beginning of our fourth line, Lobsang's Holy Dharma, so that one engages in Lobsang's Holy Dharma in a complete manner, not selectively and without any embellishment or omission. So this is what one partakes in or practices, so we have that translated as delight, in Lobsang's Holy Dharma in its completeness or the glories of perfection. And then it concludes with, "May all be auspicious for this to come about."
지상 푼조 발라 러바세 딜이야 아주기 유 냠는 제를 다된 아주기 냠는 제를 잘하지 송주 시쇼 다된 아주 가르스네 도당 송도 집에 냠는 유 푼손 초바 냠는 제바시데 아주 냠는 제베 내가블샤샤 다야지 야 제볼이 바자시나 산지고 바디 단 푼손 초바 단 냠는 심징이 팬신레 팬디 주베글이야 푼숨 초바 판도 제투예기 뉴바 차상 용수 조조바 푼숨 초바세 뉴바 차상 창와 예바 차상 튕긴 뉴바 차상 예되바 창와제 바세 초도 줄바 데니기 롤바심 디 나즈 줄에 용와 제바시오레 줄에 냠는 줄에 제바 제사다 셈지예 된 나즈게 셈지예 된 주발라 푼숨 초바데 상유 고방레 제사 푼숨 초바 상유 고방 발세도 초도 줄바 데니 토벌 쇼스 롤비 제시 쇼스 롤바스 토비기 토벌 쇼스 어디 빨 푸숨 초바세야디 야 상지고 고만래 야 자나지고 제볼 바자 단지 데니게 제볼 맞아 하나도 귀내가 불래 대진일 셔바나지 도나 냠는 푸숨 초바 도다 동아 이게 냠는 푸숨 초바 냠는 제발래 때네 한상 요거 토벌 쇼스 어두시나 이가를 잘 쇼를
If you're looking at the newer translation, which has the phonetics, again, there's now just talking further on the fourth line, which in the phonetics is Punsok Pella Rolpa. So this, just before I come to Genna's commentary, these particular words can be translated in a wide variety of ways. Hence, his explanation differs from what the translator made because of how very broad these meanings are, and how in English there isn't really a direct or a single translation. So the first word, that of punsok, here we are to understand it as, so normally this could be translated as a word such as marvels or wonders or bounty or perfection, or here we have as perfection. And it is often referred to in the context of the marvels of samsara. So Genlis is saying this is not the meaning here. The meaning here is it's referring to the entirety of the Buddha Dharma, the teachings of the Sutra and Tantra. So we right now have received these perfections. So maybe we could say these marvels or these wonders. So that's the Punsok. We have attained this opportunity to enter into, to engage with the teachings of Sutra and Tantra. In this verse, it's being expressed not just about our situation now, but for future lives. So this word we have translated as perfection really refers to the marvels or wonders, but not of the world, of samsara, which it often does refer to, but here to the teachings of the Buddha. So the marvels of the teachings of the Buddha. And then the second term, that of Pel. So this often means glory or glorious, and is sometimes the name of Pelden Lamo, so a glorious goddess. It also has the meaning of to spread or to expand. So again, very different meanings depending on the context. Here it has the meaning, glorious is okay, but we can understand it as growing because of the word it links to, which again here we have translated as delight, other situations play. Here, more to partake in or to practice. The meaning is to gain experience on our continuum or to attain. So this then, so what is being, may all be auspicious for, how the line ends, for the marvels, in other words, the teachings of Sutra and Tantra, for us to successfully train in them, so that's the word delight, and for these attainments to spread in abundance, so that's the word glory. So therefore you see, hopefully then that makes clear the deeper meaning behind what has been expressed here in this line.
And danga juki kewa sa shepeke kewa digi de tul nuba tela tene anga ju kewa de kan dikari ngoresen tela tene juki ania jigi kewa chembiki 장주 쌤 잠니제 장주 쌤 ane jigi jigi yu dodan yunige nyamlen rimba nyamlen rimba chebala donga sonjige nyamlen rimba chebala ane gu zöndu gu ma cheba che mutu je che tuba dang ane dinige chebala 튕긴dige 치다 난게 튕긴 차상 ane 여기 천하지 배 ngōwe gōne gōne 야네 교고 양호 공부도 줘야 당 데라 때네 안에 nga 저기 닌첸 차상 안에 제르마 치기 손시비 동아 손적이 냠렌델이야 냠렌제 대제발에 때네 안에 타르 안에 nga 저기 풍선 초바 야 안에 상기고 파티 토비 귤귤 쇼 세제 donde sur 두디지 주변에 donde 님보디 디레다.
And to summarize this verse, through all the virtue that we've accumulated in this practice, through the strength of this virtue, may the Mahayana Dharma, as expressed in both the teachings of Sutra and Tantra, as well as in particular the minds of definite emergence, bodhicitta, and the correct view, may we keep developing these in our continuum and have all the favorable circumstances required. May we attain all the favorable circumstances required so that we can continue to develop the varying qualities of the Mahayana Dharma. So that will be this lineage or good families, that we continue to develop the lineage of the Mahayana within ourselves and do so unceasingly, without respite, and without ever waning in our efforts, engaging with effort day and night to keep the Buddha, the meaning of the lineage of the Mahayana Dharma, or bodhicitta, at the forefront of our mind, and thereby we come to gain realization of the entirety of the Mahayana Sutra and Tantra. So that in brief then is the meaning of this verse.
차상기 다 뒤샤바나 데니스 숭어다 마 뒤차상나 말람 차상 뒤니 갸바나 다소 남기 데네 장슈바 기단 기규 개와치사바 신들이 지순라며 수기고 규메더지 다른 자시쇼스.
Then come to the final verse, and we can relate to this as being like a summary of all dedication verses. By the collection of whatever virtues I and others have done, and shall do from now until our enlightenment, may all be auspicious, Holy Venerable One, for your form body to remain in this land immutable, like a vajra.
나 다소남게 되네 전주번 기단기게 개와지 사바 세디 당아주 다당다 나주라소바 차상기다 개와 같이 사바 있네 세디 다소남게 생활 차상기세 오르다 장다신 단 기위 냠네 지금 최지금 같이 수유면나 차상기 되네 송대 장주 바르세디 아니 디링네 송대 상지고화 마도비 바도시 오른 상지고화 마도비 바동아주 개와 아니 사딘 아니 데 개와들이야 기단 기규를 개와 지사바스데 기단스데 냐마가 개와 강사바 개와 가리여베네 차상지 기규르스데 마음바나다다 마음바나 개와 가세 사야베 당연히 저기 산인난이 신율로제마 개와 치마 다 산지고와 마투기 봐도 개와 사야죠와 개와 차상세요 기단 기규 다디 기리야 직모소야마 디 슈울야 땡 다다서 당아주 체델이야 가지고 개와 디린 체카스 지개와 같이 사회변에 개와 차상소르다 이단 기교 개와 지사바스도 당아주 랑다시에 차상게 다 디린이야 나마 기다세냐 디린이 야지비게 냐마 개와 같이 사회네 개와 나만 손 다디바도 개와서 같이 사회나 모바나 개와 같이 사회 개와 디게 다다게서 다른 먼저 개와 가서 마사지 때 뉴숨게 개와 강사바디다 탐제시보다 기양기게 개와 지사바 시대
By the collection of whatever virtues I and others have done and shall do from now until our enlightenment. So here one's expressing that whatever virtue that myself and all other beings have accumulated across the three times, in the past, are now, and will in the future, all of this merit. But there's a particular emphasis, in particular from now until we attain enlightenment. So whilst it's including the past, it's referring to specifically or making additional emphasis to how we will live our lives from this moment forth until enlightenment is achieved. But it is nevertheless referring to the accumulation of virtue that has happened by all beings across all times.
나데네 싱드르 제존라면 수유고 유메 dorje다된 제시쇼와세데 제가 당 하나 주게 되대 하나도 장다 하나도 다소한 차상이 개와 뒤순섭에 개와디 아니 가리 규고레스는 규가랑와 개고레스는 싱드르 제존라면 수유고세데 하나 줄래 다된 하나 줄야 라마 라마 지게 라마 페디게 라마 저러와 지수 싱디르세데 하나 주기 네텔이야 라마 하나 줄야 직취 땡행이 라마 개위 신이 데니기 제존라미 수유고세데 하나 주 수유고 꾸된시 꾸디 유메 dorje다된 제시었으나 유어메바 아니 도시 나진 템부 마직 바지게디나 셈잔 탐제 상주고 마소기 봐도 라미기 꾸디 마주어 템부 슈비기 슈규규와 쇼와스다 도나 치티디라고 도나 니볼라 치 고디 보셔잖아 라마도 꾸세드는 꾸세 아니 셈잔 탐제 상주고 마도기 보다 라마 꾸세 땡로 제사지 구제 데뷔 규르규와 쇼스 한주게 개와사바디게 개와사바디 뉴발라 테네 라마 안가주게 다데 라미디 꾸디 수유 꾸디 유어기네 마도바지 도시 나신 차보 나지 템부 안에 셈젠 탐제 상유고바 마도바도 슈제 만들레 최된 땡고도 제사 결혼 슈고도 가서 만들레 최셰고도 만주 냠내 제고도 제사 데네사 데네게 구시 템바쇼 템비 규르규와 쇼하세데 만주 개와 뒤순섭에 개와디 랑게 라마 구시 템비기 아니 템비기 규르고아리다.
What all this virtue has been dedicated towards is expressed in the remaining two lines. May all be auspicious, Holy Venerable One, for your form body to remain in this land immutable like a dorje. So here it's what's being expressed. Through all this virtue, may you, my Lama, remain stably, unwaveringly, throughout in our presence until each and every single sentient being has attained enlightenment. Not just myself, but every being.
지사 산지 요구라 네 최고단 수구세지 니요라 수구데라 롱고단 주구세 니용고로와 지사다다 아주 典型的就是那么数据库写的准备个股那么短下巴的是无人的，就像第个是呢，那么股市云队的什么讲他们就上嘛，因为那么股市云队那糊涂，可是呢，那么股市云队的按住了确送进，按住确虚糊涂，就像年龄切我的那么买那对个买那，按住年龄切过好那个买的，第二上那么的股市云队那边的。电牌修写的，我说，那俺就给我的，那么古些电下头那我讲的，但的修了可用了是呢，那么古些电节，那么个嘛确送，俺这个俺做的大说什么讲，恰上个都是呢，年龄节，年龄节把了电呢，那么古男性让俺就上级有股，数据股就没电都是呢，数据股。数据库多些男性教育的专业面听告诉我的，多些男性修结确定看的数据我就要学啥的呀，但都是我结果的。
The form body or Rupakaya of the Buddha has two types, the Namanikaya and the Sambhogakaya. This is referring specifically to the Namanikaya, the emanation body with whom ordinary beings such as ourselves can directly relate and therefore can receive the teachings. So what's being requested here is that through all this virtue, may our Lama remain unwaveringly, unceasingly in our world, teaching beings, training beings, unceasingly, until each and every sentient being has attained their own enlightenment.
那米个属于古的，那都是那些电波修罗车嘛，都去有古写的送给修过嘛，是吧？可是去有古样子，我是接触过嘛的。那米个属于古那么短讲子去送的嘛多，那米属于古那么短去过样子，我是接触过。第三那样子去学过不了个嘛的。第三点上，那米个属于古那么短讲的电波修罗车写的，就是给我学什么那么讲的。但俺这个拍呀，俺这个那米个古那些就。Dorje gume dorje tete ku sho se tete malam tete an suju kula so bege kushi tani chen se do shen sam da kushi ga ge tani ching ge san jo ko fa di an la me ge na shin de ne ge tempo di an su gyur sho to be gyur sho se de.
Bodies of the Buddha can be divided into 2, 3, or 4. So if we divide it into 2, we'd have the one, the form body, and then there is the truth body, or the Dharmakaya. So the reason that one isn't yet explicitly requesting the Dharmakaya to remain is that we cannot relate directly to the Dharmakaya, and therefore the Dharmakaya cannot teach the Buddha Dharma to us. Only a form body can, in particular for ourselves, that of the Namanikaya, the emanation body. Hence, the request is made specifically to the form body, meaning the emanation body. But we also can include in this expression, part of our intention is that we achieve the same 4 bodies of a Buddha that our teacher has. In other words, recognizing our teacher as a Buddha, he has all 4 bodies of a Buddha. And whilst we are only making requests for the one to remain that we can directly relate to and interact with, we are making this request so that we can attain enlightenment and thereby also be able to, like he does, perfectly help all sentient beings.
Nganzu chugu sede nganzu ma namba tuen yang ji gongbo tso peki namba tuen yang ma jige yang sawa tu chung chung de chugu de yang gongbo gengo ma ji gongbo tso ki namba tuen yoro bada de longu sede gyune yo ma re so de ne gi ta kidi ina semjen ham je sang ma yi gi ba du longu de pini ten je ju go res je san gyume dorje te ten ku ta juwa gyune ta juwa de chita mi da juwa du de ina ko mi ta ba re de ina nga juge te kengo du chine ya gongbo soye namba de meba cha zho ya sa de ne meba che gedi ina yini shu hu or che san longu se che san di longu du ngone ana nga juge da zhu gu ma de ne ma longu ma zhu ba ma zhu da ma kham na meba tin bi ge zhu ba na so tuen go le che le dan ma zhu gu gongbo so ji de ya zhu gu di ya du ya longu ya du ya de ne longu gu zhu gu namba shan da du speak go le che san 규메 dorje 다된 시도 다도 유아메베 dorje 롱고도 유메 dorje 다는 고라나 같이 차고래 롱고다 근데 예시 주고다 근데 지금 원이 오셔야지 구숨바도 규메 dorje 다고 주비고디 나줄이야 안도시네 마 지되된 마도시네 아직 바 공부줘야 되는게 주반 매바 뒤줘야 되는게 언나 소용고로 와 말해 다들 지당네 농구제 되는데 마도 다들이 신디 제술라면 수유고세다 안주 수고 안주 라만 안주 된시바 라마디 对虚弱些些的电修配的电修机构电不虚弱些什么的，龙国的个地呢，就虚弱些那个嘛修修不的吧。但是俺做我说公安的俺做给微信的个，本来都是呢，都像这个本拉买些肉些呢，都是那我做咩吧，都是顶年去。但俺这个随便人们接来讲是电修养的，都配过了吧？这电修配的虚弱些是了。俺的男性俺做拉么的，俺做确送些珠宝呀、马对吧，这怕店家虚弱些，这些都是呢，也所有的地方。
Of the four bodies of the Buddha, 3 of them do remain immutable like a vajra, in that they are unchanging. They are not subject to birth, aging, and death. So the Dharmakaya and its 2 divisions of the wisdom truth body and nature truth body, these are immutable like a dorje. As is one of the form bodies, the Sambhogakaya, the enjoyment body. This too always remains. But the Namanakaya, that form body of the Namanakaya, the emanation body, the one that we can directly relate to, this one does show aging and death. Therefore, we are now making the request to our teacher in the form that we can relate to, the Namanakaya, which is also the form that does show the aspect of aging and passing from this life, from dying. And it's for this reason we repeatedly make long life pujas, where we make or perform long life pujas, where we make requests to the Lama, such as His Holiness or Lama Chöpa, requesting them and their Namanakaya form to continue to remain with us, remain in this world.
라말야 지게 야나든유고네 근데 지게 최고 보여다 차서로 소바제다 소집제 두신슈네 당한지 차상게 냠는 타마딜이야 수저 개와 강주바디 개와 오와자 보여서 오와자다 몰람자디 계침보려서 네 디팅한지게 차상지 주습신 바래 난한지 두시 개와 딩오와자다 다가라래 다딜레 라바스 메레 이네 당한지 야징 한지다 한지게 지당 다 지게 차상 줍주어바데 이나 당아주 괴기 토네네 미시기 토네네 아주게 지게와 강원주바데 아주 로지링리아 아니 지게 Lama Chöpa 준비기 당아주 럽종 몽보라 지게와 몽보아도 메바사 요래 인디 게와디 툴라데네 다디지 디나 송바 나시 아주리아 라마디게电구시电过巴别 예침보이자 상이电바 윤진 내고고래 윤진네 발라 아니 쉐시가 라마디게 구시 电过고래 예산 디네엔자 당아주 게와 딜라데네 아니 저 겨울미체다 아니 쇠버미체 저체 안디 준비게다 아주 출루리스 마시베게 아니 계획신에 도세 그 리모체라서 차상 아니 구세 가게 땜바다 아니 직 아니 땜비게 교교와 쇼하셔야 되는 것도 도스네 삼다이로와
Now we've completed looking at the entirety of this text, from the cultivation of a motivation of bodhicitta conjoined with emptiness, the detailed visualization, the various verses of supplication that are made, then the detailed Lama meditation, and now we've concluded the dedication. So through hearing teachings on this, and while you're hearing, thinking about the meaning, and including it in your daily practice, over this period where we started with our first class in September last year, you would have each accumulated so much merit. So now we come to the final part of our time with this text, where we come to dedicate this tremendous store of virtue that we have all accumulated, all of us here, and those who have been able to come occasionally. Dedicate all this merit in the way that's expressed throughout this text, in particular, so that our lamas, such as His Holiness and Lama Chöpa, they remain in this world. We remain with we continue to have an ever-growing strength of connection with them, and that all their wishes are quickly fulfilled.
에도스 말람 제레 지나당 저기 데니기 조당 저기 계신 주제다 그디네다 냠는 제리마 조디 명원에 저게 저기 군호 장주 셈셈자 탐제 대화다 템바다 동아잖아 셈베 잠니제 삼다이딩 아주 야네야도 삼다이데 디네 셈자 탐지기도는 산요고바 토버쇼 셈베 군호 디토네 저기 다지게 라마 다스 Lama idam sanje sungo yemere samtang tone ngazo kejo kang tubaine duschina samtane semje thamje gyu danda yin sebeda kejo nyamne jede ngazo jamni jedan janju semla soba and di yane ya do ngazo komye samtaya chida and dele and jige tenjing jewa juwa samtang de yang jig dongbani yugo samtade yechemo chago danga jugida
Engaging in practice such as these and all that we do need to generate the prime motivation of bodhicitta, recognizing that what we are doing here is of great importance to the extent that we generate a motivation of cultivating the causes to ensure that all beings across all the realms of samsara gain freedom from every expression of pain and misery and attain a state of lasting happiness. And when engaging in this particular practice, it's important to also generate their understanding of and engage in the reflection of our Lama being indivisible in nature from the Buddha and Yidam. The meaning, in brief, of this practice and all that we do with our lives is that we need to cultivate and keep at the forefront of our mind love, compassion, bodhicitta, as well as the wisdom realizing emptiness. This is crucial.
네, 난데 맞아다 저게 대지수통바 나시 대모람 제바나지 랍중의 대다 되니기 최대되게 하는 즉 부선속으로 용하셔서 바나지 아주 기회 잡아 될때네 나 저기 지게 아주 아디샤 센터 아니 지게 최소래 안디 멤버게 당 저게 다 콤바게 대세래 안디 멤버 아주 다디데 대 아니 콤바사 사바게 대수 안 대센 차고 안 최대 그레주 수바게 대세 안디 조라시 디 쳔베 당아서 에빔지 공기 최소하다 디네 차사 아니 지게 야 안지게 차사 지게 자월람로 야고 용하다 아니 최초게 자와디게 아니 공원이 공도 패하다 아니 가지고 이제 라와도 데디 안에 차사 공부셔야디게 아니 직 바제 뭐야 튕겨디게 야고 용하다 안 차상게 내려 안지 가지고 디네 개와디게 디네 교교와 쇼와세도 와시게 해
Furthermore, as we've had in the verses tonight, dedicate so that the realizations of the Dhamma continue to grow and flourish, as do, and not only in the continuum of current practitioners, both ordained and non-ordained, but within the continuum of all beings. And that to bring this about, that all places that aid this, such as the FPMT organization and similar organizations, and the various individual entities within the FPMT and similar organizations, such as Atisha Center, that these grow and flourish. And also in particular, I ask that when you dedicate, you also dedicate that the nunnery which is being established, that this comes about quickly because of the great benefit that will come from it.
어디 나시 당아 주기 데디 최소의 연재래 아니가 주기 데디 SPC래 안 차상게 당한게 레갈리가 차상 야미 배마세게 가주 직디니기 튕긴 좋아할 때는 하나 주 되게 고합라바래 배마시 안지게 드누이 내내 뭐바나 저와 대시 차상 근데 야구 용어에게 뭐남 겨러지 했어야지.
And also all those here and elsewhere who are engaged in directly and indirectly making the Dharma accessible to others. And here I can think particularly of the staff, such as the director and the SBC, but also all the volunteers, both present and former, that all their aspirations are also quickly fulfilled.
아디나신 다데 아니 가브리엘 양아주게 참 뒤아래 두아바직데 아니디게 차산 안지게 안 새벽에 조규병아서 아니 권투 차상이 된 두아 참 뒤아다 되니게 토네 베마세게 도치가지 최선의 판도야 보지고 안디 제자자 되는 마음반에 되니게 람레야고 용하다 아니 지게 결혼 기기를 토네네 아니 지 배하고 주어래 안 차상기 마음반에 지 람레야고 되니게 용하게 가지게 되니게 아니 지 몰람 결혼시에서
And also I want to say specifically to Anitsipa, who leads regularly, gives teachings and retreats here, that all your aspirations also are quickly fulfilled, because the work and endeavors that you put in here brings such great benefit to many people. And I'll make that same aspiration then for the translator as well.
다 너도랑 차상 지게 다들바동 차상 배 야고체 계주 야고 주야라래 당아서 소남 야고 사요래 내게와 오와제야디 라와래 당아서 로제마나 마오베네 말도 차상 아니 지 차상 야고 tum보 야고다 안지 차상 안진 대호제 하는 아주 장 지게 계주 추기 토네야 최섬 제하고 브라야기 마서 몰람제제 당아서 로제만 봐 안지게 준주로 시지만 좀 지게 제제바이나 안델리안 타바침비기 최 냠는 제다리바다 도시네 도미 저주심나서 파진투기 냠는디기 중고래 어디들 양아쪽에 지 냠는 지클로 저제나 도스테서 되네기 근데 야고요나 야 차상견다 로제마사발이안 디스틸레라다 안디마제 카노스데 크리스마스 고볼레로 크리스마스에 안지게 로사베기 로사리에 안차사리아 안디스틸레다 참비슈예요 능에 바바 지기안 바도아체 페니콘발바 자리에 안지게 도이스데네 바 도야레 안데네 있나 도시네 안지하고요야 등을 차상기다 몰람잡 도시네 안티실로 레제지마 로제마르티니게 야자 좀야기다 제시 몰람제 안 도시디링 당어서 도시 잠자로와
In brief, all of us have accumulated so much virtue, whether you've attended each and every class or tonight is your very first, so much virtue has been accumulated. And this process of accumulating virtue, which is the process of transforming our minds, is a process that we need to engage in continuously, repeatedly over a sustained period. So whilst we've come to the end of this text, when we come together in the new year, we will start a new text, and then which will be one of the supreme texts of the Mahayana tradition, the text by Shantideva engaging in the Bodhisattva's way of life, in which he presents how to cultivate the bodhicitta and train in the 6 perfections. But between now and then, I wish you all the happiest of Christmases, a joyous and peaceful time with your families and friends, as well as a new year. And then in this period, when I'm away, I'll be going to India, going to my monastery in Seda, as well as to Bodh Gaya. And in these places where I'll have the opportunity to, again, continue to accumulate vast stores of virtue, I'll make many prayers for all of you. So now in conclusion, we come to dedicate our time together, and may all be auspicious for us to come together once again in February and continue this process of transforming our minds, of developing ourselves, and becoming the person we long to be. Thank you.